Pastor Scott.
Hi, good people. This is Pastor Scott, and I have the privilege to sit down with our keynote speaker for this weekend, Pastor Tacyana Nixon. She has been specially invited to be with us this entire weekend for our annual winter retreat 2018, and she's here. She's having a lot of fun. We're just going to ask her a few questions, kind of like what we did the night before, which was to introduce her via questions so she can kind of share from her heart. And my co-anchor today is going to be Alexandra Tessich. She is one of the students from University of Ottawa and also a member of the Lindsay Seventh-day Adventist Church. And she's got some other questions to ask, so we'll let her go for a few moments. But we just wanted to say thank you so much for being with us this weekend.
Thank you.
How have you enjoyed it?
It's been good so far. So far, so good. Can't complain.
Right. Were you nervous?
I'm nervous now, yeah.
Why are you nervous?
This is the John Scott Show.
This is not the John Scott Show.
The John Scott Show.
Last night was the John Scott Show.
No, okay. No, but it's been exciting. It's been definitely
Very good.
exciting.
So you met some young people, some new faces
have.
you've never met. Tell us about your experience in Canada. How have you enjoyed Canada so far?
I mean, it's beautiful. It's cold. It's snowy. I'd come back,
You
so
would?
I guess that's the point. It's a good place.
Very
yeah.
good. Are you planning to make some angel, stuff?
Snow
in the
angels?
Snow angels?
Probably not this visit. Maybe next time.
Next time. I think Geeta probably forgot to tell you the kind of clothing
I
that you should
know.
wear.
I'm not snow angel ready. I think that's the issue. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the messages for this weekend. The one kernel of truth that you want us to take away from this weekend.
Well, we're looking at Jericho these next few days, and I think the one thing that I want us to all leave with is a knowledge that in every season God is with us.
And how is God in your life in terms of His consistency with you? You talked today about He never fails anyone, but people go through experiences thinking that maybe God is not on my side. Maybe sometimes God does fail, or appears that way, that He fails us based on different experiences that we have. Do you have an experience in your life where you felt, I just feel like God wasn't there for me?
I would say for most of my childhood, I felt that way until I came to an understanding that there is the great controversy, there is evil and there is good, and understanding that sometimes evil may seem to be prevailing over the good, and understanding that God, even in the midst of evil, can still, what the devil meant for evil, God meant for good, that He can still bring a terrible situation and bring it to reveal His goodness and His grace over us.
That's awesome. So no experience?
Oh, I mean,
personal
so
experience,
many.
like a
I mean,
story.
you had
Tell
a
us
story.
one
Okay. Well, one that I was I was thinking about sharing this morning was when I was about 7 years old, my aunt died. She died. She gave birth to my cousin, and she died. So we all had gone to the hospital to see the newborn baby and to see her. And shortly after getting there, we found out that she actually the doctors let her bleed out. So she hemorrhaged, and they just kind of left her there for dead. And so my little 7-year-old self, sneaking into ICU because she had, died, they said we could go in and see her. And I remember just reaching out and touching her, this woman who last time I had seen was full of life and pregnant, touching her and just feeling how cold she was, and realizing at that young age that, God maybe isn't good. And kind of having to reconcile that and come to an understanding that, again, there's evil that surrounds us, but even in her passing, even in that sadness, there is still good. There is still a baby for us to love. There were still so many ways we could remember and glean from her life. And so, that was definitely something that was definitely hard for me, and thought about, and I guess really shaped my understanding of death at a very young age, but also recognizing that happens, and it happens to many. And that we can still find God's goodness and grace despite tragedy,
Sort of like
and even in tragedy.
Sort of like the good outweighing the bad, the good outweighing evil.
Yeah,
Though there's evil in the
even though
world.
there's evil,
Yeah.
understanding there's a fight, and that's what we're in the midst of,
Well, I'll turn over the chair to Alexandra.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us this weekend. It's been really wonderful hearing from you. So just a couple questions for you. For starters, what was the first kind of moment that made you want to get involved in youth ministries and kind of got you started with youth ministries and was able to really start your ministry? What could you say is that defining moment?
I would say actually going to Andrews as a freshman. About 2 weeks in, I was kind of looking for a job, didn't know what I'd be doing, and I was asked to do dorm worships. And so leading out in dorm worships was kind of just like my little intro. I had a friend of mine who I knew from New Hampshire, so she brought her guitar and we'd sing, and just the atmosphere and being able to be a part of that really showed me, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to be able to be in a spirit of worship consistently, and so I would say that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, yep, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong, God. Like, this is definitely where you're calling me and what you're calling me to.
Perfect. Praise God. That's amazing. So what, throughout all your ministry, throughout these couple years, have you had one moment that really defined your ministry? So like a most memorable moment.
Well, that's tough. There's been a lot of really sweet moments. I would say there was a friend of mine, I would say friend, she became a friend, but I had met her. She came to the church and she was an engineer, in the community, and she just kind of started coming to our church. And over the next, I think it was about 2 years, we just developed a friendship. And I was able to baptize her. And I would say that was probably one of the most memorable baptisms because it came from a friendship. And it really showed me the importance of just loving on people. I know sometimes it's like, okay, well, let's have this seminar, right, and baptize all these people. And that's good, and I think that nothing against evangelistic series. I do them, I love them. But understanding the power of relationship and getting to know people, not for the purpose of leading them to the water, but just in the sole purpose of them, seeing and recognizing the love of Christ. Right. And so, and approaching ministry in that way. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So one last thing, personally, for a young youth leader like myself, and for those who I'm in the ministry with, what was your best advice to give to us, and kind of say, here's what to go forward with your ministry. Here's my best advice.
I think the best advice is to remember to pray. That prayer is the breath of the soul, and so be prayerful and always remember that you're called to show Christ's love to everyone you encounter.
Amen. Thank you so much for your time. Praise God. Thank you for joining us, and that's all the questions I have for today.
All right, girl.
Okay.
Now don't flip it while you.
So, how do you guys feel about tubing so far?
Not very comfortable.
Yeah.
It's really wet.
So, is it your first time?
Yes, it is.
Get in this one. Jamila, get in this one too. What are you doing there?
People right now are just like rearranging themselves.
But lean back.
Believe you!
This is the end of episode 1 of the John Scott Show.
Yes!
Who will love you? Who will love you?